Well, let's move on to question number 2. So the next question that you should ask before investing in Facebook ads is, how much time will it take to set up and manage campaigns?
So the first time you set it up is always going to be the longest, and setting it up,
Absolutely.
especially now that they've introduced the Meta Business Suite, can be quite tricky. So we often find that clients come to us and they don't even own their own assets. They have no idea where they are. They have no idea where they've been set up, which is a really common problem. So making sure that you take the time to learn how to set it up properly, learn how to set it up well, and make sure that you've got all the components set up. So if you're going to be pointing people to your website, so say you want them to purchase a product, for example, make sure that you've taken time to install the Pixel, which is Facebook's tracking code, so that it can see what people are doing when they land there. Don't just point them aimlessly without any hope of knowing what they're going to be doing. So make sure that you take the time to set up all of those things correctly. And then once you've got it all set up, optimizations are a lot easier and a lot quicker, especially once you learn what optimizations to make. So you'll get a feel for, whether you're hitting the right audience or whether it's, your actual ads. So the copy and the text and the creative that you're using, whether that's working really well or not. And then you can make minor changes to sort of test that. And that's what's really great about Facebook, is that it's really responsive. Once you've put something up, you could put, say, 5 ads up, and it will show you within a couple of days which ads people are responding to more than others. So it's really, really great for learning, which is fantastic.
Yeah, it's a bit different to sort of like traditional marketing methods. Like back in the day, I used to work in magazines, and there was like a 3 to 4 month lead time. You had to write your ad, submit it, and then by the time everything was printed and then distributed, it was nearly 3.5 months later. And it's like, but whereas with Facebook, you can just be so quick and agile, and like you said, in a couple of days, you've got data, and you can start making those optimizations and start making changes, and you're learning sort of almost live what if your audience are responding to what you're putting out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh gosh, Christie, we could hijack this podcast and just talk for ages.
Well, Christie, an ad will have a lifetime, won't it?
Yes, it will.
The chewing gum will lose its flavour eventually.
Yeah, so depending on the size and the audience, the size of your audience and who you're wanting to run it to. So obviously, if you're running an ad Australia-wide because you can sell products Australia-wide, your audience is going to be a lot bigger. It's going to take a lot more time for that ad to really run through all of that audience and lose its flavour, like James said. If you're running a local business and you've only got a smaller audience, that's going to lose flavour a lot faster. So you're going to need to be really on top of having new ads ready to go as soon as that switches over. And Facebook has, once you set an ad or a campaign live, it will run through what's called its learning phase. So it'll test out different parts of the target market, and it'll test out different things and go, oh, okay, you know what, it's going to run better a little bit over here. So this is where we'll push all the budget towards. Once it's gone through its learning phase, you may have to restart it to get it through its learning phase again if it really does start to decline quite significantly. And knowing when that point is really just comes with time and experience, which is one of the benefits, again, of having somebody do it for you. But obviously, you've got to be the right size business to really make that happen.
So one question I want to ask you, Christie, is often people come to us and they say, can I just boost posts? Like, can't I just press the boost button? Why do I have to look at optimizations and do all this, get real involved in it? Can't I just hit the boost button, put $20 on a post?
You absolutely can. There is nothing wrong with using the boost button. You just have to really make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons. I had a client come to me once and say, oh, this post that I thought was going to go really well organically on Facebook isn't doing well. And so I just want to put $20 behind it just to make it do well. And I said to them, please don't do that. If Facebook is telling you it's not doing well organically and then you push money behind it, you are just wasting that money. Because if it's not
Facebook will take your money.
Yeah, they're happy to take it. That's not an issue.
Yes,
it's just your time and effort that you're wasting. So if it's telling you organically that it's not doing well, there's something wrong with your post. Whether you think it's going to run well or not, Facebook will tell you whether your audience is receiving it well or not. So don't bother putting money behind and boosting posts that haven't performed well organically. That's actually a really good point, to test it
That's
first.
such good advice.
Organically. If you're not sure, put it up on your page. So when we say organically, we mean put it up on your Facebook page and see how your followers respond to that particular content before you put money behind it. The other thing to note is if you're going to boost something, Facebook will give you some suggestions, but it's really only a limited portion of what you can do if you set ads up properly in the back end in Ads Manager. So if you think of Ads Manager as being, you get access to all the goodies, when you're boosting a platform, you are boosting a post, you really only get access to about 30 to 40% of that. And you get access to none of the real data insights and none of really seeing who's clicking on those ads, who's watching them, where they're going. You get none of that kind of insight. So you can absolutely boost a post and, putting $10, $20 behind something to sort of get it out there, there's nothing wrong with that. I would actually recommend to you, if you're going to do that, pick your best performing post and then push it out beyond an audience, beyond your followers. So whether it be the local area, whether it be your followers' friends, depending on who you want to target and who's going to benefit from that the most, you can absolutely do that.
There's definitely a place for boosting.
Yeah, definitely. You just have to be really smart in it.
So boosting is like Facebook Lite.
Yes.
It's and it's not going to give you the performance data, which is our next point. I'm not going to go there just yet, but it's relevant in terms of, did this work? Like, we need to come up with some measurements for whether it worked or not. But before we go there, I did want to talk about this time thing, because how much time is this going to take? We know that time is money. So if you're doing it, then you're not earning money. When you're starting, maybe you have the spare time, you're not earning money anyway, so it makes perfect sense. But one of our clients literally said it as plain as this to me. She's a lawyer. Her charge out rate's $350 an hour. She said, I can't justify doing all of this in my time. It's just cheaper to pay you guys to do it. It's just an economic decision for her. And what's your time worth to you as a business owner? Sometimes it's hard to quantify. And so a secondary decision someone might make is to say, well, let's give the Facebook marketing to the office manager or the receptionist or the salesperson. Like, let's give it to somebody inside the business. Now, this really fits into the kind of first point around, well, do they have any talent for it? Are they interested? Yes, they can do a course. Are they going to get anything out of it? And where does that fit? Because you're going to pay them an hourly rate, which is going to be cheaper than ours as consultants, but you're also not going to get an expert. And the real problem that I see is not about expertise. It's about their main role, which you've tacked this thing on. Their main role usually sits in the first quadrant of the urgent and importance quadrant from 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. We all know that quadrant where there's things that are high importance and high urgency. We need to do them first. There's other things that are highly important but low urgency. And your own company's marketing usually sits in that quadrant. It's really important. If you don't look after it, you're going to pay for it in loss of sales in 3 to 6 months. But because it's not affecting you today, you put it off to tomorrow, and you can get 6 months down the track, find yourself in a hole where no leads are coming in and your business is stalled because you didn't invest the time. And if you've given that to the receptionist who's been on the phone answering calls that are urgent and important all day, it doesn't get done. So by hiring an agency, you're going to pay them maybe 4 or 5 hours a month at a higher rate, but the numbers is actually much smaller. The dollar amount's smaller. So, and then it gets done, and it gets done professionally by somebody who's doing dozens of them.
Yeah, absolutely.